Jan Žižka commanded his most decisive battles in total darkness, both eyes gone, standing at the center of a war that would shake the Holy Roman Empire to its foundation. He never lost a single engagement, not one. Before the wars, before the blindness, before the Wagenburg, there was just a man from a small village in southern Bohemia who spent decades doing the most dangerous work available, selling his sword to whoever would pay for it. Žižka came into the world around 1360 in Trocnov, a small village in the Kingdom of Bohemia. His family belonged to the lowest rung of the landed gentry, minor nobility, modest holdings, but a name just good enough to open doors. One of those doors led to the court of King Wenceslaus IV, where a young Žižka got a close-up education in how power actually worked, how armies were raised, how nobles bargained, how wars were dressed up as righteous causes. Then he walked away from all of it. His middle years took a considerably rougher turn. By the early 1400s, he was leading a band of outlaws in southern Bohemia, raiding the estates of powerful lords. A royal pardon in 1409 wiped the slate clean, and the former bandit went back to war, this time as a paid sword. So he fought for the other side instead. At Grunwald, in July 1410, Žižka he is believed to have fought as a mercenary for the Polish-Lithuanian forces against the Order of Teutonic Knights. It was one of the largest battles in medieval European history, the alliance of Poland and Lithuania, led by King Jogaila and Grand Duke Vytautas, decisively defeated the Teutonic Knights under Grand Master Ulrich von Jungingen. Žižka was not a commander there, but he seems to have learned a great deal from participating in one of the largest field engagements of the medieval period. He watched how cavalry charges broke against disciplined formations. He watched how terrain could be turned into a weapon. He filed it away. By the time of Grunwald, Žižka was already 50 years old. His legendary story was just beginning. 4 years after Grunwald, the spark that would light Bohemia on fire was struck. Not on a battlefield, but in a courtroom in southern Germany. In 1414, Jan Hus was summoned to the Council of Constance under the promise of safe conduct, but was later accused of heresy, and in July 1415, he was burned at the stake. Hus was a Czech priest who had spent years attacking the corruption of the Catholic Church, the selling of indulgences, the moral rot of the clergy. A century before Luther, he called for reform of the church and was burned for it. His death set off a religious, political, and social revolution in Bohemia and 18 years of war. Hus had been guaranteed safe passage by Emperor Sigismund, brother of the King of Bohemia. Sigismund responded to protests by threatening to drown all followers of Hus. That threat did not have the intended effect. In July 1419, Hussites seized the new town hall in Prague, and in what would be known as the First Defenestration of Prague, through the city councillors who opposed them from the windows of the building. Žižka himself stormed the building with supporters and threw the burgomaster and many councillors out. They landed on spears held aloft by the marchers below. The Hussite Wars had begun, and Žižka, now nearly 60, a former bandit and mercenary who had spent his life on the margins of power, was suddenly at the center of it. He was already fighting with one eye. Sometime in his youth, Žižka had lost an eye, earning him the nickname One-Eyed Žižka. He had adapted. Half his field of vision was gone, and he had kept fighting, kept commanding, kept winning. Then came the siege of Rabí castle in 1421. An arrow found his remaining eye. The wound was catastrophic and complete. He was now operating in total darkness. No peripheral glimpse, no light, nothing, in the middle of an active war against the armies of the Holy Roman Empire. The practical problem this created was not symbolic. It was immediate and concrete. A commander who cannot see, cannot read terrain, cannot track troop movements, cannot respond to the chaos of a medieval battlefield in real time. Every tactical system that existed assumed the general could observe the fight. Žižka could not observe anything. What he did next was not adapt to that limitation. He eliminated it entirely by building a form of warfare that did not require the commander's eyes at all. the blindness didn't end his command. It forced him to invent something new. Žižka lost his last eye mid-war and kept commanding. Would you have stayed in the field or handed off command? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now here's the system he built to fight without ever seeing the battlefield again. That system was the wagenburg, and once you understand how it worked, the blindness stops looking like a liability and starts looking almost irrelevant. The wagenburg was not a new idea. Armored wagons had existed before Žižka. What Žižka did was turn a loose collection of farm carts into a disciplined modular fortress that could be assembled in the field, repositioned mid-battle, and commanded entirely by voice and pre-drilled sequence. His wagons were reinforced with heavy wooden boards and planks, chained together wheel to form a closed defensive ring, and fitted with small cannons, crossbowmen, and infantry armed with flails and pikes, positioned in the gaps between the carts. The ring could contract, expand, or split into columns depending on terrain. Every movement had a name. Every soldier knew their position before the battle started. That last detail is the key. Because Žižka could not see the field, he removed improvisation from the equation. His soldiers drilled the formations until the sequence was automatic. When he called a command, the wagons moved. The cannons fired on a pre-established arc. The infantry held the gaps. Nothing required him to observe what was happening. The system executed itself. He had essentially turned a medieval army into something closer to a programmable machine, one he could operate through sound and preset logic rather than sight. Against armored cavalry, which was the primary weapon the Holy Roman Empire deployed, the wagenburg was devastating. Knights on horseback could not breach a locked wagon ring. They had no answer for the cannons firing at close range through the gaps. The tactical vocabulary that crusading armies had used for a century simply did not apply. Žižka proved this at the Battle of Vítkov Hill in July 1420. Emperor Sigismund led a crusading force into Bohemia, vastly outnumbering the Hussite defenders. Žižka held a fortified position on the hill above Prague with a small garrison. Accounts suggest a few hundred fighters against thousands. Sigismund's forces attempted to storm the hill and break the Hussite position. They failed. The wagenburg held, the counterattack was coordinated, and the imperial advance collapsed. Sigismund withdrew. Prague did not fall. Then came the winter campaign of 1421 into 1422, Kutná Hora and Německý Brod. By this point, Žižka was operating in complete darkness. Sigismund's forces had taken Kutná Hora, a strategically critical silver mining town, and nearly trapped the Hussite army against it. Žižka's answer was to punch straight through the imperial lines, wagons rolling, cannons firing on the move, and break out into the winter night. Most commanders would have counted survival as the win. Žižka regrouped, turned around, and came back. Within days, it was Sigismund retreating and the blind general hunting him. He caught the imperial army at Německý Brod, strung out of formation, in exactly the conditions the wagenburg was built for. The destruction was decisive. Sigismund's forces were routed. The town fell. The campaign ended in complete Hussite victory, commanded, start to finish, by a man who saw none of it. Žižka did not die in battle. In October 1424, he died of plague near the town of Přibyslav, in the middle of yet another campaign. His record was intact, not a single defeat across years of active war against the armies of the most powerful political entity in Europe. What came after his death is the detail that refuses to stay in the footnotes. According to accounts passed down from the period, Žižka asked that his skin be made into a war drum so that he could continue to lead his soldiers after death. Whether that wish was carried out, whether it was ever truly spoken, or whether it grew in the telling over generations, no one can say with certainty. But the fact that his soldiers believed it, repeated it, and built a legend around it, says everything about what kind of commander he was. These were men who had followed a blind general across winter campaigns and watched him dismantle crusading armies. The idea that he might keep leading them from beyond death did not seem absurd to them. It seemed consistent. The through line the hook opened is worth landing directly. Žižka did not win despite losing his eyes. He built a system of warfare so structurally disciplined, so dependent on preparation and formation rather than real-time observation, that the commander's vision was simply not the variable that determined the outcome. He identified the one thing his condition could not take from him, the ability to design, drill, and direct, and he made that the whole system. The battles confirmed it, the record confirmed it, and 500 years later, military historians still study the wagenburg as one of the earliest examples of combined arms doctrine in European warfare, artillery, infantry, and mobile fortification, working as a single coordinated unit. Žižka invented that, blind, in the middle of a war, with everything on the line. Žižka's soldiers won because they did the same drilled moves every single time. Yours are simpler. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, watch the next one, run the sequence.